Classroom source of words. We learn words either intentionally or incidentally. Traditionally, words targeted for active study were supplied to learners in the form of lists, as we can see in the picture. So the vocabulary list starts by the word glass and it ends in the word supper. It also has the translation into the L1, which is Spanish, and some pronunciation keys. Why to use list? There are several reasons, but three of the main important reasons are the following ones. Many students while learning words from lists. It is very economical. It means that large number of words can be learned in a short time. Having the words in a non-alphabetical order reduces the chances of getting confused. The second source of words is curse books. Nowadays, it is customary to make explicit reference to the lexical content of a course in the syllabus description. There are some factors that determine the choice of words for inclusion in the lexical strand of a course book syllabus. Those are usefulness, frequency, learnability, and teachability. Usefulness is because words are useful if they can be put into immediate use, but sometimes it becomes harder to predict which words learners are likely to need. Therefore, the notion of a core vocabulary was devised. Frequency: most frequent words express the most frequent meaning in the language. Learnability: words that are like in the L1 and L2 are easier to learn, for example, the cognates. In teachability: the words that are easy to explain if they can be demonstrated or illustrated by the use of pictures, realia, and/or real objects, especially the nouns. How is the course book vocabulary syllabus realized in the actual content of a book? In segregated activities and in integrated activities. Segregated activities is where the words are presented in the form of lexical forms. For example, we have planning a trip and the general topic is travel. The lexical set is boat, car, helicopter, balloon, bus, coach, plane, or ship. There is a recommendation is to not organize the lexical sets by themes. So, in this case, you can organize the lexical set not only by means of transportation, but you can also add nouns, verbs, and different categories of words. The second way to find segregated activities is in word formation. So, rather than grouping words because there are similarities in meaning, the focus here is on the formal properties such as affixation or combination. Lexical sets make sense because it seems to reflect the way the words are stored in the mind. The meanings of the words can be made clearly by contrasting them with closely related words in the same set. And if the words are being introduced to support a specific grammar structure, words belonging to the same lexical set are more easily slotted into the structure than words chosen randomly. Now, integrated vocabulary, or also called integrated into test-based activities. It can take the form of pre-teaching of vocabulary for a test-based task, whether for understanding as in listening and reading or for production as in speaking and writing. Words selected for pre-teaching are likely to be unfamiliar to the learners and crucial for the performance of the task. Not all the words need to be pre-taught. Course books sometimes suggest the most difficult ones, or the teacher can decide which ones he or she considers as difficult. But how to pre-teach vocabulary? Identify the key words, teach words in context, encourage students to guess the meaning from context, or begin with a discussion of the general theme of the activity that will be given to the students later on. So this will be the post task. Now, the third source of vocabulary within the classroom is vocabulary books. Typically, supplementary vocabulary books are organized thematically, and they can be also focused on word formation and/or imaginative tasks with affective depth. They allow learners to work independently on vocabulary areas. But Are vocabulary books really teaching you? Not really. Most of the times they are testing and or challenging your vocabulary knowledge. It is a good idea to use this kind of vocabulary books in activities where students use their dictionaries, also when testing or doing diagnosis. There is another important source of vocabulary, and it is the teacher. Teachers are often assumed as undervalued source of vocabulary input. Learners often pick up incidental language from their teachers, especially words and phrases associated with classroom processes. For example, let's see, it's that clear, silence please, be quiet. Teacher, it is also a source of a lot of useful interpersonal language. For example, did you have a nice weekend? Nice shoes? Are they new? Could you close the window? But how can teachers draw students' attention to interpersonal language? Asking them, how would you say that in your language? What other ways are there of saying the same thing? Teachers' own stories can serve as a vehicle for vocabulary input. Record the story, students trying to remember, they're going to identify the difficult words. Finally, there is also an important source of vocabulary, and this is other students. There are some students who pay attention to what other learners said and do rather than the course book or the teacher. So the idea is to give learners at least temporary control of the topic agenda to encourage themselves to prepare short class presentations on a topic of their choice. Secretaries to write down the words that are new, for example, the words that are produced by students and a teacher, is a really good way to give control to the students, for example. And also you can have a word box with flashcards made by students and you as teacher.